Hey guys, so Extreme Rules 2017 went down tonight and I watched the entire thing. So in this video I'll break it down match by match and let's get started. The kickoff show match was between Apollo Crews and Kalisto, and this was a fun match. A very good kickoff show match to open up the show, not really the main show, but just to get the crowd warmed up, and they did that and then some. I found this match to be very entertaining. The athleticism of Kalisto and Apollo Crews was on full display, and in the end Kalisto got the win over Apollo Crews. I don't really know how I feel about this rivalry. I mean, they were best buds on SmackDown, and then on Raw it's like they kind of just washed that history all aside, had Crews join up with Titus and Neil for the Titus brand, and I guess it's supposed to rejuvenate both these guys' careers, kind of get Crews rolling with O'Neal, and then I don't know about Kalisto. I don't get how this rivalry is going to benefit him in the long run. I'm surprised they haven't put him in the Cruiserweight division yet. I thought for sure that's what they were going to do when he was drafted to Raw, but apparently for some reason they don't want Kalisto in the Cruiserweight division with the rest of the Cruiserweights on 205 Live. So as for Kalisto, I really don't see how this benefits him overall. I could see it definitely benefiting Apollo Crews in the long run, but not Kalisto. The next match on the main card was The Miz taking on Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship, and the match had a weird stipulation for Extreme Rules. If Ambrose got disqualified, he would lose the Intercontinental title to The Miz. With this being Extreme Rules though, I don't get why that was the stipulation. It kind of goes against Extreme Rules. I mean, it's not really extreme. You're kind of hindering the match in my opinion. By taking away that element of weapons or falls count anywhere or something like that. But to have a match where you can lose the title by disqualification, Extreme Rules doesn't really make sense to me. And it played a role in the story of the match, and it kind of worked out well for the story, but in terms of the overall match with the ability to use weapons and stuff being thrown out the window, that's where it hurt the match in my opinion. Still a very good match. Fun way to open up the show. The story that Miz and Ambrose told in the ring was fantastic. It looked like Ambrose was going to be able to overcome the odds again and again and again. Got very close to pinning the Miz, but in the end, there was a segment where at first the Miz told his wife to slap him in the face, try and get him disqualified. The referee doesn't fall for it, tosses Maurice from ringside, and then Miz ends up shoving Ambrose into the referee and knocks the referee out of the ring. The referee, all WWE referees are typically stupid, thinks that Ambrose did on purpose. Ambrose is following the referee as he's walking out around the ring to potentially ring the bell and disqualify Ambrose. This allows The Miz to hit a skull-crushing finale from behind. The referee decides to change his mind, runs back in the ring, counts 1, 2, 3. So Miz is your Intercontinental Champion by defeating my boy Dean Ambrose. His Intercontinental title reign has come to an end. So I don't know if this rivalry is going to continue. It's been a long rivalry. It dated back to when they were both still on SmackDown, and I don't think it's going to continue. I would be shocked if it does, but personally, as of now, the way WWE has been building up this Shield thing between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and now Ambrose is back on Raw. And if you watch their YouTube channel, they just recently posted a video of the top 10 Shield moments or something. I feel like they have something planned for the Shield, possibly for SummerSlam. And with Ambrose losing the Intercontinental title, it definitely frees him up for having to defend the belt. He can be inserted into the Shield rivalry with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, as they had a brief showdown in their match tonight. So I definitely think WWE is building up to something with the Shield again. And I think that the rivalry between Miz and Ambrose is now over, with Miz free to defend the belt against another up-and-coming babyface possibly, and Ambrose can then go join the Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in the Shield program. That's at least what I think the rivalry is finished, and I think Ambrose and Miz are going their separate ways, and as I said, Miz defeated Dean Ambrose tonight to regain the Intercontinental title. The next match was Rich Swann and Sasha Banks taking on Noam Dar and Alicia Fox in a tag team match. Pretty fun match to watch. The athleticism of Rich Swann is fantastic, and him and Noam Dar have some good in-ring chemistry in my opinion. When they were paired up in the match together, it flowed really nice, had some very good moves, and I would like to see them continue this rivalry, possibly ditching Fox and Banks, let Fox and Banks do their own thing. But Swann and Dar definitely have some solid in-ring chemistry, and if they just drop the goofy storyline gimmick and just let these guys battle it out in the ring, I think that would do wonders for 205 Live and do wonders for both Dar and Swann. Swann's kind of fallen down the ranks since losing the Cruiserweight title, and Dar has just been him and Alicia Fox. While it's been entertaining, it hasn't really done much for either of them, and while I do like that Alicia Fox is finally getting inserted into women's division on Raw with Sasha Banks, I don't really know the long-term effects of this rivalry, as the draft with Charlotte now moving to SmackDown. Sasha Banks just kind of seems lost. Her feuding with Fox kind of seems like a random para, but it's good to see Fox getting a feud with Banks. And while it's definitely elevating for Fox, it's kind of lowering the ranking of Banks in my opinion. So I don't know if they're going to continue that rivalry. I could definitely see it happening, since it doesn't look like Bliss and Bayley looks to end anytime soon. So Swan and Banks and Dar versus Fox is something I could definitely see continuing to at least the next pay-per-view. But yeah, as I said, Rich Swann and Sasha Banks defeated Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. The next match was the kendo stick on a pole match for the Raw Women's Championship. It was Alexa Bliss defending her title against Bayley. This was kind of a dud for me. It was really short, and Bayley came across looking like a total idiot. She ends up getting the kendo stick, hesitates on using it, and then ends up losing the kendo stick to Bliss, who just tees off on her without hesitation. And Bliss eventually gets the win in a match that I don't even think went past 10 minutes. It might have been like 7 minutes tops. And this is just a step back in the so-called Women's Revolution that WWE was promoting the crap out of a couple years ago. Instead of getting a lengthy match with a solid build and story, you get a quick match in which the babyface Bayley ends up looking stupid, and Bliss just looks dominant and continues to run as the best woman, not only Raw, but also in the SmackDown Women's Division. She's the best woman in the WWE today, period, in my opinion. So, it's good to see Bliss get this momentum, sustain that momentum. The match itself, you could skip it. I mean, nothing special happened. And as I said, Alexa Bliss retained her title over Bayley. The following match was a steel cage match between Sheamus and Cesaro taking on the Hardy Boys for the tag team titles. This was a fun match, lots of cool spots involved in the cage. And with the Hardy Boys, you expect one of them to jump off the cage. And of course, Jeff Hardy does not disappoint. He ends up escaping the cage first, but you gotta have both members of the team have to escape the cage. So Jeff's on the outside, Matt's getting whooped inside the cage by Cesaro and Sheamus. So Jeff decides to go back into the cage and help him out. There's a huge whisper in the wind off the top of the cage onto Sheamus and Cesaro. But in the end, Jeff apparently knocked himself out cold, so Matt was trying to drag him out the door while Sheamus and Cesaro climbed over the top. And Sheamus and Cesaro escaped the cage first before the Hardy Boys. So they are your new tag team champions. And I don't think this rivalry is over. I would say there's probably one more match in between these teams. The Hardy Boys are going to be owed a rematch. So I would imagine that would take place at the next pay-per-view. And it'd be a good way to get Sheamus and Cesaro some momentum by having them beat an established tag team in the Hardy Boys again. I'm not disappointed that the Hardy Boys lost the titles. Sheamus and Cesaro, they're definitely the future of Raw. The Hardy Boys, they're old. It was cool seeing them win the tag team championships, but it definitely makes sense for Sheamus and Cesaro to have those belts. So I would definitely see this rivalry continuing one more time with Sheamus and Cesaro again picking up a win and a successful title defense against the Hardy Boys in the future. The next match was the submission match between Neville and Austin Aries. A fun match for the Cruiserweight Championship. Lots of great wrestling moves here between Neville and Austin Aries, two of the best pure wrestlers in WWE as well as the Cruiserweight division. It was on full display here. There was a very, very cool segment at the end where Neville, he hit the Phoenix Splash onto the back of Austin Aries and transitioned right into a Rings of Saturn. This made Austin Aries tap out, so Neville successfully retains the title. However, earlier in the match, Austin Aries had the last chancery on Neville. They rolled out to the outside of the ring, and he still had it on him, and Neville tapped. But because it was on the outside of the ring, it did not count. So that's why Neville was able to hit the red arrow did I say Phoenix Splash earlier? It was the red arrow. Hit the red arrow on the back of Austin Aries and transitioned into the Rings of Saturn for the win. Very fun match. I do not think this is over. I do not think that they're going to end it with Austin Aries tapping out to Neville and losing a Cruiserweight Championship match for the third straight time on pay-per-view. I think there's going to be one more match between these guys. Austin Aries is going to pick up the win and become the new Cruiserweight Champion in the future. But tonight, Neville was successful in his title defense. After that, It was the main event: Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor, with the #1 contendership for Brock Lesnar's Universal title on the line. This was the match of the night by far. Great, fun, very entertaining match. A lot of cool spots. You had Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt teaming up and decimating everybody. You had Roman Reigns spear both Finn Balor and, I want to say, Samoa Joe through the barricade. You had Seth Rollins hit a massive frog splash from the ring to Bray Wyatt, who was on the announce table, and the announce table exploded. As I said earlier, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins squared off in the ring, so I definitely still think WWE is building up to something with his Shield, and I think with Ambrose losing, he's going to get tossed into that storyline. And then you also had Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor a little bit, and it looked like Finn Balor was going to pick up the win. He ends up hitting the coup de grace on Roman Reigns, goes for the pin, but then Samoa Joe comes from out of nowhere, gets Balor into that sleeper hold or whatever it's called. I forget the name, and knocks Balor out, and he becomes the new #1 contender. Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar set for the next Raw pay-per-view. That is a dream match. You got the Samoan submission machine versus the actual legit former UFC submission machine fighter guy, Brock Lesnar. So that should be a fun match to watch. I'm excited to see it. I didn't think Joe was going to win, but with the win that Joe got tonight, he is going to face Brock Lesnar, and that means his storyline with Seth Rollins, for now at least, is over. So, I mean, that's further proof that Rollins and Reigns and possibly Ambrose are going to tangle in some sort of Shield storyline that will carry out through the summer, possibly. Maybe a reunion, I don't know. But anytime the Shield is involved, I'm excited because I love the Shield. And then, as I said, Samoa Joe gets the win over those other 4 guys, and he will face Brock Lesnar for the WWE Universal Championship. So that was Extreme Rules in a nutshell. Solid show overall. The only dud on the card pretty much was the kendo stick on the pole match, but everything else was very fun to watch. Kickoff show match was fun to watch. Ambrose versus Miz, Swan and Banks versus Dar and Alicia Fox, the cage match, submission match, and then the fatal 5-way match. All those matches were fun, solid, entertaining bouts. The only dud, as I said, was the kendo stick on the pole match. So if you're going to watch a WWE pay-per-view, this would be a solid choice. Extreme Rules 2017. One as extreme as past editions, but still a very entertaining show nonetheless. So I would recommend checking it out. And as for me, if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button below the video. Also, feel free to give me a follow on Twitter at Cincy Fan Zone. I live tweet during various sporting events, wrestling events, and a whole lot more. You can find a link to my Twitter account in the description below as well. And also check out my website, cincyfanzone.blogspot.com. I have a lot of content up there. I write weekly blog posts for it. Every video on my YouTube channel is over there as well. There's a whole bunch more. My entire bobblehead collection's up there. I have autographs up there, photos. There's just a ton of content out there, so please go check it out. You can find a link to that website in the description below as well. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.